Hello Internet, and welcome to my live reaction for Boruto, Naruto Next Generations, Chapter 69. When we last left our heroes, the battle ended, and everyone ended up going back to their home bases, the Leaf Village or Code's little facility in the Land of Snow, and just sort of have some moments of rest and recuperation in the aftermath of all the drama that went down. There's a lot of stuff being kept hidden in the Leaf Village, like stop a mass anti-Kawaki movement. And Code is also, or back with Code, Eida's really pissed at Code for using Daimon, and there's this sort of tension brewing between them. But Code assures Eida that he still has a plan thanks to the claw mark on Shikamaru's back. And so when Shikamaru goes to confront Amado over all the weirdness around him, specifically about implanting Kawaki's karma back without permission, Code takes that opportunity to strike, pops out, and threatens Amado to release the limiter with a single word or, get his throat slit. Shikamaru reveals this was all part of his plan, captures Code, though not quite, he's not quite bound enough that he couldn't just kill Amado right then and there, but Shikamaru reveals another plan that the figure in the containment unit from before this whole drama started is a revamped Delta, now named Bronco, I think, who has had a desire to implant the leaf implanted in her mind, which is kind of fucked up, because all of the Kara members were people before they became cyborgs, but that's a thing. So right when it seems like everything is going well, Code seemingly tries to make a getaway, but it turns out he's not making a getaway, he's reaching his hand through the claw to pull Eida through, which stuns Amado, so we're finally going to get some answers as to what exactly their deal is. But yeah, all that being said, let's dive right on into Chapter 69, Captives. And our picture here is fittingly of Delta/Bronco, just kind of chilling. She's sort of sitting on air or whatever. But we open where we left off, with Eida having appeared in the room, shocking everyone, especially Amado. Eida, you're alive? And I'm still hanging by my theory that Eida is Amado's daughter that he referred to Ishiki killing way back when. That he had used his daughter for this experiment, for this anti-Ishiki weapon, and then Ishiki had that decommissioned, and then Boro, of course, did not end up decommissioning her, and that's how we got to this conflict here. But Shikamaru has no idea who this person is. Eida? Just confused, or not a shocked Eida, but an Eida. And Delta just sort of watches. She doesn't know what's going on anymore. But Eida tells Amado, "Isn't that obvious? Still the same old stupid reactions, Amado? Well, I guess I can't blame you." So, if my theory is right about Eida being Amado's daughter, that means there's enough of a disconnect, enough of a sundering of their relationship, that Eida no longer refers to him by name. Or by father. She calls him by his name and not by a more familial title. And Amado is just, frozen in fear. And Shikamaru thinks, Amado's terror, it's beyond abnormal. Who and what is this woman? And Code sort of smirks, thinking this is sort of his victory. And Delta tells them, Eida, I don't know who you are, but if you're with them, I guess you're my enemy. So might as well get rid of you both! And she goes on the attack, but then she freezes, caught in the love spell that is Eida's very being. Shocking Shikamaru and Eida is sort of stunned. Huh? And we see Eida is between Delta's legs, and as a result, Eida has a shot right up her skirt, which Eida comments, "You're flashing me, Delta dear. I can see your panties." And thankfully we don't get that shot as well, because, but Delta's just confused why she can't attack Eida. And then, so it looks like Delta moves in some way. I can't quite work out what exactly what movement exactly is happening with, Delta there. But Shikamaru is just shocked that something's going wrong here. What the? And Code seems to, growl, almost. He doesn't quite, there should be a happy moment for him that, his plan is working, they can't really hurt Eida. But he doesn't really seem happy. But Eida just, taps Delta's, stretched out, transformed leg. Now, this leg too. And Eida puts her leg down, stands back, she's hit with the same sort of aphrodisiac that everyone is by Eida. But then also, she ends up extending that leg towards Code and Shikamaru, I think? There's something weird going on here. I can't quite work out the exact, motions here. But Shikamaru reacts, "Hey, Delta, what are you doing?" And Delta just doesn't know why she's doing what she's doing. I want to know, too. What is up with this girl? And Eida tells her, "Thanks, Delta, dear. That's good." And Shikamaru was just panicked. What is she? And he, gets on the telepathy line with Ino. "Ino, emergency situation. I need backup." And Eida turns to him. I'm assuming with her Senrigan, she can even observe that conversation, even if it's not spoken. But then we cut to Sasuke and Boruto, who don't know any of the drama going on downstairs, as Sasuke just says, "Forgive me, Boruto." And Boruto's like, huh? Not really knowing what he's talking about. And Sasuke goes on, stopping Momoshiki's rampage was my responsibility as your teacher, but I couldn't be there when you needed me. And Boruto seems touched by Sasuke's words, "Master." And Kawaki had to take on a painful role too. The village doesn't need to hate anyone else besides me. That's an interesting thing. Because I was never really under the impression the village hated Sasuke. I figured Sasuke had fully redeemed himself for all of his "I want to destroy the Leaf Village" shit when he was a teenager. Because, who doesn't want to overthrow the government as a teenager? And so this idea, or maybe he's like, I should be the one to bear the hate of killing you, because, you're the son of the Hokage, and it should be me who takes the hatred of being your murderer, or something like that. I don't think he's saying, now that I think about it, that he's already hated or something. He just feels like he should be the sacrifice or whatever. And Boruto tells him, "So you heard that Kawaki was the one who killed me?" And Sasuke tells him, "Only a select few know. It's for the best." Excuse me. Quite a few already disapproved of Kawaki being here in the first place. Boruto is still protests, but I asked him to do it. I told him to kill me. It's not right that he's getting blamed. But Sasuke sort of pushes back. The one who is despised killed the Hokage's son. That feels like a weird translation. That line feels like a bad, decades-old translation by an amateur scanlation group. It's a weirdly clunky line for a professional release. I just a couple hours ago, finally finished Soul Eater, and I just felt like that series was, on Mangadex at least, plagued by a succession of not very good translations that really kept me out of it the whole run. And that feels like the kind of line that would be in a mid-tier Soul Eater scanlation. Not really a professional 2022 scanlation. Or translation, not even a scanlation. Either way, the one who is despised killed the Hokage's son. Whatever else, that's a fact. It can't be helped that additional bias is heaped on. So what he's getting at there is that if the word got out, there's already this bias against Kawaki because they blame him for summoning Ishiki and everything. And so if he killed Boruto, even if it was Boruto's idea, that would just add to the hatred. Okay. Boruto protests, but that's just wrong. Especially since I'm alive and fine. Besides, he's the only one I could have made such an unreasonable request to. Because we acknowledge each other as bros. Again, I love the Borukawa dynamic, they're fun. And Sasuke sort of... There's also kind of an echo in that of Naruto and Sasuke's vibe as kids. Specifically Sasuke, trying and failing to kill Naruto at the Valley of the End. Because of to get the Mangekyo. Either way, Boruto goes on, and it's likely the same for him. He did it 'cause we're bros. He understood and accepted my resolve. And Sasuke kind of reflects on that and says, brothers, huh? And Boruto suddenly realizes something and reaches into his pocket, or his backpack, That's right, I gotta return this. And he pulls out Sasuke's old headband. Your headband. It helped me firm up my resolve. Thanks a ton. And Sasuke sort of looks at it and tells him, if it's so helpful, keep it. It's a gift. And Boruto's kind of shocked. What? You sure? Isn't this an important memento of you and my dad? Which is also kind of setting up the flash forward that I hate so much. But also, you know, given that Kawaki has Boruto's old headband, it's fitting that like this is the headband that Boruto needs a new headband now. And also, given, you know, his close ties to Sasuke and the ways his dynamic with Kawaki echoes his father's and Sasuke's, him having that headband feels very, like, thematically significant. And Sasuke just tells him, it's fine. You hold on to it. And Boruto looks down at the headband, for real? And then exclaims, yes! Thanks, old man! That's fucking rude, Boruto. The man's like 33. Like, he's not old. That's like a decade older than me, which I'm gonna file that away for later. I'll treasure it for the rest of my life. And Sasuke just sort of looks over at Boruto as Boruto's like so giddy, ties Sasuke's headband into place. And then Sasuke thinks, or says out loud, I might be the one, having to show his resolve next. That's not foreboding in the slightest. Not even slightly foreboding right there. And Boruto looks at him, huh? And then we cut away to Sarada and Mitsuki, who are watching from across the streets. And Sarada comments, I wonder what they're talking about. Mitsuki tells her, if things had gone wrong, Boruto would be dead. And that's without even knowing what Kawaki did to him. Master Sasuke is likely feeling guilty as his teacher. I certainly do. Even now, when I think that Boruto could have died without me being there to help, still gives me chills. That's setting up some drama between him and Kawaki. I can feel it. Even if, given the manga's general treatment of everyone except the A-listers, even if that's the sort of thing that's like pushed to the anime to cover many years from now when the anime reaches this point, that's not gonna go unfollowed up on. The idea that, like, you know, Boruto, it's not that Boruto could have died, Boruto died. And Mitsuki, by Mitsuki's ally, I don't think Mitsuki's ever gonna handle that well. But Sarada looks at him, and then Mitsuki follows that up, and supposing someone really were to try to kill Boruto, I really don't know what I would do to that person. Yeah, again, he's eventually going to find out that Kawaki did it, and it's not going to end well. Also, I want to talk for a moment, sort of randomly maybe, about the differing developments between manga Mitsuki and anime Mitsuki. Specifically how it, like, the last time we really focused on that ride or die vibe with Boruto and Mitsuki in the manga, at least I can recall, was way back at the beginning of the arc. When Mitsuki said, you know, in the manga he says, if you don't go, I have no reason to go. So if you don't go to do Katasuke's mission, Sarada will go alone. And in the anime, because Mitsuki has all this development to the disappearance arc, he says the exact opposite. I'll go with or without you, but I want you there. And that's the sort of difference that, like, this feels maybe a little more like a follow-up to that manga version of the scene. And so I'm wondering how this might be different in the anime, which we'll see eventually when there's enough content of the manga so that the anime can, like, go on again many, many moons from now. But anyway, Mitsuki threatens to kill a person. An unknown person, though we know it's Kawaki. And Sarada sort of stunned Mitsuki. And Mitsuki tries to, like, play it off. Sorry, I just realized that came out sounding disturbed. And Sarada looks away, a little uncomfortable now. And Sarada then speaks up. I'm really shocked over everything that's happened to him. And I'm truly relieved that he survived it all, but amid that relief, I'm starting to feel angrier and angrier, you know? I'm hoping, actually, that in contrast to my general assumptions that, like, they're never going to be important characters in the manga and they'll always be fleshed out in the anime, I'm hoping this means they're going to take a more active role in the manga's plot. You know, that will lead to dealing with Sarada's manga design more often, which I still hate. I hate as much as I hated it when it first came out in, like, 2018. But, like, they're still good characters, and I hope they're here more. And I hope we get to really explore Sarada's, like, morass of feelings over this whole incident. And Sarada goes on, I mean, it's not his fault, I know that. He couldn't help any of this happening, but still, are we just that undependable? You know? Which, yeah, honestly, this actually feels like Sarada directly addressing how underused she is in the manga. I'm wondering if this actually is a sign that she's going to be brought in as, like, a main character more. Specifically in the manga content. And Mitsuki sort of looks over, thinking about what Sarada said, and Sarada goes on, I want to be able to help him more. And Mitsuki sort of leans over the railing, and Sarada sort of laughs. Actually, maybe I'm mad at myself. And Mitsuki sort of randomly asks, so you do like him? Boruto? Okay, I'm not alone in, like, my Mitsuki, like, the way Mitsuki talks about Boruto is distinctly romantic in flavor, even above Narusasu's vibe. Like, Mitsuki is very open about his being into Boruto, and I'm hoping this is not, like, Kishimoto, you know, because a lot of that happened in the Kodachi written chapters, and there's still some part of me like, oh boy, is Kishimoto trying to undo what Kodachi did that he might not have liked, which is a wrong thing to think, I think. I don't think I'm quite justified in my opinion there, but it still is the opinion that I'm having. But Sarada's confused. What? Where the heck did that come from? And then Mitsuki questions, so you don't? And Sarada sort of deflects. I'm saying whether I do or don't has nothing to do with this. God, I'm trying to have a serious convo here. Who says convo out loud? I'm gonna ignore that, actually. And Mitsuki goes on, I wonder if it's something that's hard to tell. Your own true feelings, I mean. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. And Sarada presses, doesn't matter? Yeesh, you're one to talk, Mitsuki. Your eyes light up when it comes to Boruto. So I'm gonna recant what I said earlier, because that, specifically in the way that's paired as a counter to the idea that Sarada has romantic feelings for Boruto, Sarada is calling out the fact that Mitsuki is into Boruto. There's no other sensible way to read that line beyond Sarada is aware that Mitsuki is into Boruto. And then Sarada moves on in response to Mitsuki's silence, which is actually kind of an interesting thing. Because in the past, I'm not sure Mitsuki would have denied, you know, he's my sun, I'm his moon. But he's silent there, which is interesting to me. And not to sound like I'm just completely waffling back and forth here, but I'm still that makes me a little nervous. Given all the, you know, given everything I was just talking about, I don't know. I'm just gonna let things be. We'll see how things play out. Sarada goes on, and Dad, has he forgotten he's my father first? Even more than Boruto's teacher? And we cut back to, like, Boruto and Sasuke enjoying each other's company. God, I swear, this is so frustrating. And Mitsuki sort of responds, we have to get stronger. Both of us. In order to face the mighty Otsutsukis, we need just as much power and resolve, too. And Sarada's taken aback by the sudden seriousness. Well, that's a no-brainer. Because I won't be fit to be Hokage otherwise. I do really hope this is a sign they're going to be much more important in the manga than they have been. Because I don't think they've done really anything in the manga since the fight with Boro. And before that is the fight with Ao. And before that is the Chunin exams. Like, they've done very little in the manga. They're great characters in the anime, but in the manga they just don't do enough. And I hope this is a sign they're going to be more important in, like, the main plot of this series. But then, still leaving all of the drama going on in the basement behind, which honestly, I should talk a little bit about that, how that's just some, like, weird pacing, or some weird, like, choices there. Because you have all this tension, right? And there's good tension going on in the basement. And then you cut to this, you know, genuinely good and compelling character conversation with both Boruto and Sasuke, and Sarada and Mitsuki, but it still just feels kind of weird. Like, the character work is all good, and we should focus on developing these characters, but also, like, shit's hitting the fan downstairs. That feels like the kind of thing we should be focusing on a little bit. Like, not that I'm complaining, I love that whole scene. But anyway, back with Kawaki, he wakes up, he sits up, and he sees Sumire acting as like his nurse. Oh, Kawaki. And I think this is the first time he's woken up since the battle, right? But we see Naruto's also sitting at his bedside. Yo, you slept well. And Kawaki just stares at him. This is their first conversation since he murdered his son. So, Kawaki's... And I don't think Kawaki knows Boruto's alive, right? Because he was unconscious before Boruto revived. So, Kawaki has a bunch of bad thoughts going on in his head. But Naruto just tells him, this reminds me of the first time we met, too. And Kawaki still is not quite sure how to take this. Though he's right, this is how Naruto and Kawaki first met. And Sumire is also a little uncomfortable here. And Kawaki just cuts right to the chase. You didn't come to tell me about stupid old memories, did you, Lord Seventh? And Naruto looks at him and turns to Sumire. Sorry, Sumire. Could you give us a minute? Oh, sorry for not realizing. And as Sumire's leaving, I'm not sure Sumire knows about what Kawaki did. I don't think she's one of like the half dozen people. I think it's only like Naruto, Sasuke, Shikamaru, Ino, Katasuke, and Amado, and Sai, and like maybe Ibiki, right? I don't think Sumire was there when they talked about it. Though she might have been in that bed. I don't remember if they actually brought up what Kawaki did in that bedside scene last month. But either way, Kawaki lets out, you're not going to condemn me for killing Boruto? And yeah, this is in fact the first time Sumire has heard of that, because she freezes and turns to Kawaki. Huh? And Naruto just stares at him. Relax. Boruto's fine. And Kawaki is stunned to learn this. What? His karma's power saved him. It's a long story, but he's alive. And Kawaki sort of takes that in. And yes, Sumire is just utterly stunned at this news. Kawaki killed Boruto? And Naruto has this moment of silence, and then turns to Kawaki. If you hadn't been there, we might have all died. I'm not saying this just because Boruto's okay, but I'm grateful. Which is just it's a very mature role for Naruto. And I do kind of, in like a moment alone, maybe with Hinata, without Kawaki or Boruto or Himawari there, I kind of want to see him just like break down. Like this is, he watched his son die, and he's been holding all this stress in because he needs to, because he's the good Hokage. But at a certain point, I want to see him break down. Maybe this is like a little selfish of me, but I want to see him just shatter. Because like, he's been through a hell of a couple days. But Kawaki sort of turns away, not really wanting to face that gratitude. And Naruto tells him, Boruto feels the same. He says you took on a painful role. And Kawaki turns back to look at Naruto. Sumire is still there. Just no idea what the hell is going on. But like, all this shit is bad. And Naruto goes on, I've said this before, Kawaki. But you belong here. In Konoha. Nowhere else. Everyone in Konoha is family to me. Including you. And before he can continue, he's cut off. Naruto by Ino. And Naruto, I think, does he say this out loud? Not. For some reason, I'm blanking on how exactly Ino's telepathy jutsu works. But he asked her, Ino, what is it? Enemy attack at Lab 3. Code and one other. Identity unknown. And Sasuke gets the information too. He does says out loud, so I guess you do have to speak, or you can speak to talk to Ino. Be right there. But this is the first thing Boruto's hearing of any of this. Not even knowing what's going on, just those 3 words. As Boruto asks, Master Sasuke, what's going on? And he turns to Boruto. The enemy is here. Let's go, Boruto. Okay, they're bringing Boruto along. Which I'm not sure is the right choice, given he's the enemy's target. But I guess it does show the faith that Sasuke has in Boruto here. As Boruto tells Sasuke, yes, sir. And then we go to cut back to Naruto, Sumire, and Kawaki. Who Naruto, unlike Sasuke, who's very open about what's going on with Boruto, Naruto's still keeping the truth quiet from these two. Sorry, I forgot I had an urgent matter. We'll pick this up later. And Sumire asks, Lord Seventh, so Boruto is fine? And Naruto tells her, yeah, fit as a fiddle. No need to worry. Oh, good. But Kawaki is still... Oh, what's this? Because at this shot of Kawaki still sort of troubled by all he's learned. by the way Naruto is still treating him so well. He looks at his karma, and then we get a shot of that left eye that looks a hell of a lot like Ishiki's eye when he used Sukuna Hikuna. Which might just be a part of, another part of Ishiki's power that he's able to use thanks to the karma. But I don't know. We still don't quite know why. Like, the question that Code interrupted last month, you will recall, was Shikamaru asking Amado why he was so insistent on Kawaki getting his karma back, and we still didn't get an answer to that. So that's still a little nerve-wracking. But anyway, we're finally back in the basement. As Eida stares down Shikamaru and walks towards him, and Shikamaru catches her in another shadow possession, though, she can just have Shikamaru undo it. Oh no, okay. So Eida has a moment of confusion. Oh, no way. You can actually attack me? But then she realizes, I see. It's because the jutsu doesn't directly inflict harm. Okay, so I guess the attraction element of Eida's powers, because the Shadow Possession is just like a freeze ability, like, I guess maybe Shikamaru couldn't inflict harm on himself at that point, because that would inflict harm to Eida, but, like, it can still affect her, which is a good weapon to have against her. But Shikamaru doesn't really know what her abilities are, so he's just kind of confused here. And Eida comments, amazing. I can't move at all. This is a first. And Shikamaru is starting to feel some like, confusion. What the heck is she? I feel all out of whack. And is it my imagination? Am I starting to get a weird fever? And Delta's just sort of a little wobbly in the midst of all this. And Shikamaru keeps thinking, Delta too. She somehow lost her fighting spirit. I'm almost positive the three of us have been ensnared in some sort of jutsu. Which, it's unclear, like Shikamaru seemed to think that Amado is caught up in the same thing that he and Delta are, but we know the jutsu does not work on family members, and so maybe it's just his panic. Or maybe I'm wrong, I might be wrong about his connection to Eida. But Shikamaru calls to Ino, I want to talk to Amado without the enemy knowing. Can you link us using mind transmission? And Ino tells him, sure, I'm on it. And then he's linked to Amado. Amado, it's me. We're communicating via Yamanaki Ino's jutsu. Listen up. No matter what, don't you dare blurt out anything. And so it does seem that they can either think or speak through their communications, answering my earlier questions. And Amado thinks, Shikamaru? And Shikamaru tells him, good, you're doing great. And then gets to brass tacks. First off, who and what is she? What kind of attack are we struck with? And tell me how to counter it. And Amado sums up Eida and tells Shikamaru, her name is Eida. To sum it up, all of us in here are currently her captives. And Shikamaru is confused. What do you mean? It sounds ridiculous, but it's the truth. She enchants us on an instinctual, unconscious level. No matter your gender. You, Delta, me. No one can escape this ability of hers. So it's basically what we already know. But unless, and I'm just desperate for my Eida's the mysterious Amado daughter, because it makes their dynamic much more compelling if they are related. But Amado is at the very least trying to hide that fact by saying that he might be telling the truth, or he might be lying, saying that he's caught up in it just the same as Shikamaru is. And Delta falls to her knees, looks over at Eida. Eida grins at her. And Delta just blushes. She's so cute! Full on magic love potion. All the general, not big on Eida shit. Though I will say, Kishimoto sure can utilize the power of homoeroticism. Going back to the original series, that was kind of been his thing. But Shikamaru is still communicating with Amado. You're kidding, right? How is it even possible? But Amado goes on. Headache, vertigo, fever, impaired judgment, stiffened muscles from extreme tension. Different people get different symptoms. Some simple types like Delta just become infatuated. Alright, that's interesting. Because what Amado's implying is that either Amado's saying that only some people experience Eida's abilities as attraction, or he's saying that, like, it's all of it is some form of attraction. The headache, the vertigo, the fever, the impaired judgment, all that sort of comes from attraction. But Delta, because she's sort of been, I guess, brainwashed so many times, is simple enough that she just, like, falls head over heels immediately, I guess. I don't know. But Shikamaru thinks, sure looks it. How do we deal with it? But Amado tells him you can't. Once you become her captive, it's all over. Eida herself can't control this ability, and the effect lasts until she dies. And Shikamaru thinks, until she dies, eh? So there is a way, and it's very simple. Well, that's not necessarily going to work, given that he draws his kunai knife, and it's clear that his thought is just attack Eida. But Amado tells him, go ahead and try. You'll see soon enough how futile resisting her is. Because, yeah, it's not going to work. As Delta found out the hard way earlier in the chapter. Then Shikamaru looks over at Code, who's also caught in the possession. Which is interesting. But we see Code is starting to break free. Gah, my shadow possession won't last much longer. And Eida tells him, don't push so hard, Shika dear. Which, that repeated dear, it feels like she's, like, using, you know, not just allowing the infatuation ability to like, work on its own, but, like, heightening it herself. Saying things that would get someone who's already infatuated with her, more infatuated. Come now, relax. And Shikamaru is still, like, struggling against all of this. Gah, and thinks, too close. If I let my guard down, I feel like I'll just give in. And Amado's stunned, like Shikamaru's trying as hard as he is. And Eida comments, what incredible force of will. Watching you. I almost want to cheer you on instead. And he's, like, gripping the kunai, trying to move it, but he can't. And thinks, damn it, it's no use. My body won't move. And Amado tells him, I told you it's futile. Even if you want to kill her in your head, your instinct will reject that thought. Quit fighting it, or else you might damage your mind. Okay, so there are, like, bad consequences to trying to attack Eida. It can lead to, like, damaging your mind is what Amado says, and it's a little unclear what that means. It might be, like, a full-on mental breakdown for all we know. But Shikamaru finally ends up dropping the kunai. Shadow possession breaks from both Code and Eida, which is bad news, because now they're both free. And Shikamaru lets out a shoot. And the two of, like, Code gets up, both him and Eida staring down Shikamaru, and he sort of, like, rubs his head. Ugh. Phew. Yeesh. Took you long enough. And Shikamaru is sort of panicking here. Unbelievable. Even Naruto and Sasuke wouldn't stand a chance against such an ability. In fact, if anything, they'd be in even greater danger from Code, who wants them dead. Damn it, what do I do? Which, interesting, it was a little bit unclear if Amado ever realized that Eida's powers didn't work against the Otsutsukis. The implication was that he gave her that ability so that she could use it against the Otsutsukis. And it's a little unclear if he ever realized that, like, it explicitly did not work against his target. Because if so, there is a way around it. There's still Boruto and Kawaki who are immune. But Shikamaru doesn't know that, and it's unclear if Amado does, which is the question I was getting at. Because Amado should, if he knows, should tell Shikamaru. Anyway, Shikamaru thinks, damn it, what do I do? And Code, now that he's free, gets right back to work with Amado. Grabs Amado by the hand, and the throat, pinning him against the wall. And as that thumb gets closer to Amado's neck, Code tells him, now, just comply, and you won't be harmed. And Amado tells him, don't. And Code, like, testing him, oh yeah? And seems to stick his claw thumb into, like, Amado's clavicle. Not in his, like, throat or anything, but, like, right around here. Amado is sort of panicky there and starts to scream, Gah! Ah! And Code tells him, a lot of nerves converge here. Hurts, no? And Eida looks away. Ugh, how vulgar. And Shikamaru thinks back to what Amado said a while ago about, you know, if he gets tortured. I'm not a pro like the two of you. I know I'll break it pretty easily. And Shikamaru speaks, Eida, and Eida turns to him. What's your motive? Why are you helping Code? Do you have some grudge against Konoha? Which, it's interesting to me that Shikamaru sees this as a conflict with the village, which is very much not how Eida sees this. Eida sees this as a grudge against one man. But Eida turns to Shikamaru. Not really. Code's motive is personal to him. I don't care about it at all. And Shikamaru questions, then why? Why cooperate with him? Well, I have no reason to hide it, so I don't mind telling you, Shika dear, since you're so easy to talk to. And she takes on this whole, blushing schoolgirl persona. You see, I like Kawaki. Again, my problems and concerns with Eida are well documented. We've had her around for a year now, and I'm still not exactly a big fan of her. And that exact vibe. And Shikamaru's just, huh? And Eida turns, full on, explosion of smoke, blushing, covers her face. OMG, I said it! Full on schoolgirl vibes. And Amato's a little stunned at that. And of course, she's oversimplifying, the facts of the matter are that, Kawaki, as part of Otsutsukis, is immune to her charms, which still sort of fits in with the idea that Amato is unaware of Eida's fatal flaw. Or fatal flaw from Amato's standpoint. Anyway, Amato thinks, Eida likes Kawaki? And, through her, hands, Eida tells Shikamaru, I'm simply getting assistance from Code on that matter. In return, I'm helping him regain his powers. And Shikamaru just comments, is that so? Thanks for telling me. And then he calls Ino again. Ino, the situation's changed. I'm switching plans. Change the lock release code for this room's door now. Huh? We're back with Ino. Shikamaru tells her, the enemy wields a troublesome ability. I know I requested backup, but I don't want Naruto and the others to come in. Could you stall them somehow? Right, because he does not know. He's just if they're here, they're fucked. But Ino's just confused. Well, Shikamaru? And Shikamaru's not explaining. Trust me, just do it. And Eida, a little disappointed in Shikamaru almost. You just thought how foolish, didn't you? Shikamaru pauses for a minute. Eida's wrong, of course, about his thoughts. His thoughts were just plotting. But he says, no, I was just surprised. It's great. Wonderful. I almost want to support your feelings. So, Eida, I've got a proposition for you. A proposition? Won't you come over to Konoha? Think about it. I believe we can mutually aid each other. And afterward, you can tell Kawaki how you feel. Or whatever else you want. And Amano looks over kind of confused as Code questions, what? To be continued. See you on May the 19th of next month. Okay. So, let's focus on the outside the lab stuff first in this review portion. Because that's the stuff that I thought was just really good all around. The Boruto and Sasuke dynamic is really fun. It's this really sweet moment. Even if it does feel like we're inching closer and closer to that flash forward. Which honestly, crack theory here. What if Kawaki's betrayal of the village in the flash forward is because they've invited Eida here and he's just upset that they've forced this girlfriend on them or something? I don't know. It'd be bad, but it'd be kind of funny to me. I don't know. But their master-student dynamic is just really nice. There's this genuine respect. I really love the way Sasuke takes responsibility for Boruto as his student, and he wants to be the one who sacrifices for his student. It's just really sweet. And then he gives him the headband, and there's just the even further solidifying of their bond. The highlight of the chapter for me though was the Sarada and Mitsuki stuff. That was just the part that was. I just love I love this sort of the fact they feel left behind is both something that given everything that's happened since they fought Boro, have they been completely shut out of the plot since they fought Boro, and even then they were sort of they did a lot in the early stages of that fight, but that was still saved by this mysterious power from Boruto and Momoshiki. It's understandable there's this sense that, like, they feel left out. And they haven't left out, just in the manga especially. They feel left out from all the Otsutsukis stuff. And they want to have the power to be relied on. And that's just a really nice sort of, like, way to take their characters right here. It's just some good character work from them. And I hope this is a sign that Kishimoto is going to include them much more than Kodachi did. As much as I really enjoyed Kodachi's writing, it's fair to say that Mitsuki and Sarada getting shafted was probably my least favorite thing he did. And so I'm hoping this is a sign that we're going to get more from them. I like they're sort of, like, working through their feelings on this whole matter. Is this good? Mitsuki's like a longtime fave of mine, but Sarada also just gets some really good, like, working through her jumble of emotions about this whole incident. It's really just nice. It's really well done. And then we have this sort of cut short conversation between Kawaki and Naruto, which is, like, we get just enough for Sumire to have some thoughts. And Sumire is just that character I've kind of had my eye on for a while. There's something, like, she's so interesting to me. Because she's very much a side character, but she's also, like, more than even Sarada and Mitsuki, she's the one who's found her way into the plot the most. And it feels like she's, like, gearing up to be a very important character, though I'm not quite sure how. Going back to the fact that, like, she was the one who was confronting Amado over all of his weirdness, and she just keeps learning things. I'm really curious where she's going to go from here. I don't know. Sumire she's still that character to keep your eye on. There's something, like, not some secret past, we know her past, but, like, she's going to come to some decision very soon. I don't quite know what that decision is, but she's going to come to it sooner rather than later. And I don't know. Maybe she'll turn against Kawaki. Maybe I don't know. She'll turn against Amado, maybe. But something's brewing within her, and I'm curious what that's going to be. But then before there can really be a reconciliation with Kawaki or a full Kawaki accepting the forgiveness that he doesn't feel he deserves, Naruto's called away to deal with the fight, as is Sasuke and Boruto. Though, of course, it's not really going to happen, because over in the lab, Eida's having her way with everyone. No one can really touch her, thanks to her jutsu. Or not even her jutsu, her just natural qualities. And, like, most of this part of the chapter is, like, a lot of it is things we kind of already knew. Getting Amado and Eida in the same room has not really led to new revelations about either of them yet. Most of the chapter is just Amado telling Shikamaru all the things the audience knows about Eida, which, I mean, there's still, like, the questions of what exactly Amado is choosing to tell and what he's choosing to hide, or not hide, but, like, maybe he doesn't know. There's still plenty of questions about Amado and Eida that I'm still really invested in, because, again, I think that Eida being Amado's daughter is the dynamic we need to make Amado's storyline infinitely more compelling than it has been. Because Eida is just a character that does not really work for me. Though I do realize the problem with that now is that, like, Amado has mentioned having a daughter, but never having a son, which, like, if Eida is his daughter, then Daimon must be his son, and he's never really mentioned that, so maybe that's a definitive strike against Eida as Amado's daughter. But either way, I do like Shikamaru's, like, strategy here. Because, he doesn't quite know all the details about how, like, why Eida's interested in Kawaki, but he finds out that Eida is, that's her goal, is to get with Kawaki. Which, again, I've never really been a fan of that being her goal, but whatever, that's her goal. And Shikamaru was like, okay, we can work with that. If she wants to get with Kawaki, join up with Kawaki. That's the move. Don't kill the man that Kawaki admires the most. And we'll see if that works. It's a really good cliffhanger here. Because that might be what it takes to get Eida to change sides. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. A lot of good stuff here, though, like I kind of realized in retrospect, A lot of the lab stuff is just sort of Shikamaru being caught up with the things we already know. But this plan is smart, it's well done, it's very Shikamaru, and that's always a win to me. So with that said, I'm going to leave this video off here. Hope you'll enjoy the chapter and the video itself. If you did, feel free to drop me a like or subscribe, do whatever makes you happy, And as always, your life is your own, okay? Bye!